candidatos tienen 60 segundos para responder a esta pregunta, empezando con Raúl Peralta. En una década aproximadamente, 1 de cada 4 residentes del condado de Santa Clara será mayor de 60 años y cerca de la mitad de todos los adultos mayores en nuestro país viven bajo la línea de autosuficiencia. Como miembro del Consejo, ¿qué hará usted para las necesidades de las personas mayores de la tercera edad, en general de bajos ingresos, se vean con una gran importancia?
All candidates have 60 seconds to answer this question, and we'll begin with roll calls. In a decade, about 1 in 4 residents of Santa Clara County will be age 60 or older, and close to half of all seniors in our county live below the self-sufficiency line. As a council member, what would you do to address the needs of seniors in general and the low-income seniors in particular?
So this falls right into line on one issue, which is our affordable housing. So with the lack of affordable housing that we have right now, we won't be able to house the seniors as well as the rest of our community in that bracket of income. Additionally, we need to continue to support our community centers for the services that seniors are going to need as they're getting older. We're going to have more seniors here in the community, and we're going to need to be able to address their needs with public transportation, with food, with community activities, with being able to be engaged here in our community, and we need to make sure that we are supporting our seniors as we end up getting a number more in the next decade.
So I'm going to be, within the next decade, one of those people who's over 60. So I think about this a lot. Also, my next door neighbor is going to be 98 in a couple months. She's been a senior as long as I've lived here. And her roof was falling apart about 15 years ago. And her house needed a new paint job, and it needed a lot of other things. And so the city had a program which I tapped into to get her a new roof. The city had a program to give her house a new paint job. We helped her as a neighborhood, and it was not just me, but other neighbors helped her to live in her home. She would not be living in her home as my next door neighbor had we not banded together to do that. We as a community need to do those sorts of things. We do need to work on affordable housing. Palo Alto rejected a seniors affordable housing center. We can't allow that sort of NIMBY attitude in our community, and I will fight against it. And I will fight to make sure other communities do their fair share as well.
So seniors are actually our fastest growing demographic here in the county. It's a personal issue. I was a full-time caregiver for my mom for a while when she needed me. Professionally, I've co-chaired the Information Access Task Force for the county senior agenda. As a council member, I support providing a no wrong door access to services. I support fully funding senior nutrition, which just in the 13 community centers in San Jose alone, they serve 195,000 meals. I also support fully funding transportation. So nutrition and transportation emerged as the 2 largest needs out of the senior agenda in our county. And a lot of people forget that seniors who aren't as mobile can't necessarily get to the community center. They can't get to their doctor's appointments. And I also agree with my colleagues here in supporting affordable housing, either directly or indirectly through programs like Real Building Together or the city's program that Donna has. Thank you.
This street setting probably has the largest population of elder and poor elderly folks. In fact, just 2 years ago, I volunteered and settled and gave back $3.6 million for 4,700 elderly victims of a funeral fund scheme because they're very, very vulnerable. So I think there are 4 critical items for the seniors I really want to fight for. First, housing, affordable housing for seniors. Secondly, transportation. Not only rely on public, also volunteer program to bring it back and forth. Secondly, their lifestyle, healthy, nutrition, activity that would really improve their life. And the whole thing will wrap up in a good community center like we have here at Sacred Heart. I will use the model for more center like this for seniors.
Todos los candidatos tienen 60 segundos para responder a esta pregunta. empezando con Tom Nguyen. De acuerdo con el Comité de Revisión de Muertes debido a la violencia doméstica, hubo 13 muertes por violencia doméstica en el condado de Santa Clara en el 2013, incluyendo 7 en San José. El comité da recomendaciones para diferentes líderes en la comunidad hagan cambios en reformas y pólizas enfocadas en crear seguridad para las víctimas de violencia doméstica y sus hijos. Las recomendaciones incluyen 3 áreas. Proporcionarán fondos para un equipo de detectives específicamente para apoyar casos de violencia doméstica, proteger el financiamiento a los empleados de las agencias que ayudan a las víctimas y apoyar el desarrollo de programas de ayuda para los agresores, al cual de estas recomendaciones se compromete usted que haga una prioridad.
All candidates have 60 seconds to answer this question, and we'll start with Tam Nguyen. According to the Domestic Violence Review Committee, there were 13 domestic violence deaths in Santa Clara County of 2013, including 7 in San Jose. The committee makes recommendations for community leaders for reform and policy changes to protect victims and their children. The recommendations cover 3 areas: provide funding for a fully staffed family violence detective team, protect funding and staffing for agencies helping victims, and support and development of programming perpetrators. As City Council member, which of these recommendations are you committed to making a priority?
As a 22 years dealing with the minority group, domestic violence is one of the painful issues that I deal with every day. I think not only the after the fact program will help them, but I think more than the program before the fact. That help empower and helping the women or the victim of the people becoming the victim. For example, the reason where they stay and let the domestic violence that imposed on them because of poor education, poor economic condition, and can't know how to get out of the house. So therefore, I provide more training, more job, more housing, and more programs to help the less advantaged people before the violence happening, in addition to those programs you just mentioned.
So there's the 3 topics that you mentioned here, and I support all of them. So number 1, most definitely we need to make sure that we can restore our domestic violence unit along with the rest of the units once again that we've lost here within our police department, because we do have a lack of an ability and inability to be able to address these concerns and the number of growing incidents that are occurring here in San Jose. Number 2, which is the nonprofit organizations, the organizations that we can partner with that help and step up for the women and as well as the men. And I think that ties into the third one, which is for the perpetrators. So we need to make sure that we are focusing on addressing the issue with the perpetrators. And that starts with our children. That starts with our young men and our young women on educating them. And we're seeing this happen nationwide in as it will, the sports arena, which gets more attention than what's happening here locally. But we need to make sure that we keep that conversation, that we're educating our youth on these issues and how to deal with them and address them.
So in short, all 3 of the recommendations would be a priority from my perspective. Just to give a little background in terms of my recognition of the issues with domestic violence, the executive director of Next Door Solutions for Domestic Violence lives in my neighborhood. As a member of the Rotary Club, I've been involved in assisting her organization, and I even enlisted my neighbors to assist her organization. So I have a deep and abiding interest in helping combat domestic violence.
As a former community development block grant commissioner in San Jose, 15 years ago, I fought to save funding for Next Door when the city wanted to cut their funding of that agency, which would have basically shut most of the shelter beds in the county. So I agree with all 3 of the recommendations. I just want to point out how important the crime issue is, that we don't just fund the detectives, but our response times for a priority 2 call in San Jose is 20 minutes. And a priority 2 call is, my husband's beating me right now, come help. That's 20 minutes. So we need to properly fund our police force. We need to be able to keep them. We need to be able to recruit them, not just so that we can hire the detectives, but make sure that we can respond in time to help. Thank you.
Todos los candidatos tienen 60 segundos para responder a esta pregunta, empezando con Maya Esparza. ¿Cuál es el problema más grande de las políticas públicas, ya sea un distrito en todo San José? ¿Qué piensa usted que no recibe suficiente atención y cómo lo enfrentaría como un miembro del Consejo de la ciudad?
All candidates have 60 seconds to answer this question. We'll start with Maya Esparza. What is the most pressing public policy issue, either in your district or in all of San Jose, that you think doesn't get enough attention? And how would you address it as a city council member?
So without a doubt, the most pressing issue in District 7 and in the city is crime. As a Franklin McKinley School Board member, we had to close Santee Elementary School twice because of murders adjacent to the school. We're not doing enough. We don't have a vice unit, we don't have a burglary unit, we don't have enough gang officers, we're not doing enough prevention because we're focused on intervention. So I think we need to address pension reform, we need to get it done so that we can recruit and retain officers. We need to be able to have a vice unit. I've heard a lot of complaints from neighbors in this area about the prostitution that's going on in the neighborhoods. We need a burglary unit. I'm talking to a lot of people who have their homes broken into 8, 9, 10, 11 times, and they don't report it anymore. And also, I think we really need to address graffiti and gangs, and those all tie into crime. Thank you.
The top concern for District 7 we share with 7 cities is also the safety, the job, and the housing. As the safety, we're not going to just sit there and wait for the both sides of the officers of the city litigating and drag on forever. I really like for the city and the police to expand the community officer program where we have people in the community step up and be part of the force that can help alleviate the need of the safety and respond to the community. Therefore, I think that would help break through the we've been holding up right now at City Hall. Secondly, also I agree that we should install the burglary, the vice unit, and more with the graffiti program. But I think the next concern would be more affordable housing and job and support for small business in the district.
So most definitely the most pressing issue in public policy here in the city and in District 3 is with public safety. And in fact, it was one policy put forward that began this downward tumble, and that was the policy in regards to pension reform and the way that our city decided to implement and deal with that. So we certainly need to address that coming out of the gate next year, so that way we can get beyond this pension reform and get on the real issue, which is restoring our public safety. And public safety certainly means more than just more of people like myself working in patrol out in the streets. It's areas like this with having kids be able to walk home safely, as many of you know in these neighborhoods, walking Vine and Almaden, which for over a decade, neighbors here in the area have tried to get changed from one-way streets to two-way streets. It's about the time that it takes 9 months to get a street light changed, so you're unsafe walking around in the dark. And these are policies that all revolve around public safety that I would propose that as we begin to implement and change next year, we look at those things.
I'm not sure I heard the same question that everyone else responded to, so I would ask that it be read back again.
Sure. What is the most pressing public policy issue, either in your district or in all of San Jose, that you think doesn't get enough attention, and how would you address it as city council member?
So the question had a proviso there that I think doesn't get enough attention. Public safety is my top priority. I think it gets plenty of attention. I think we've talked about it ad nauseum in this debate, and I just want to make clear it's my top priority. I want to make San Jose safe. But what's the top issue that doesn't get enough attention in this city? And it gets a lot of attention in this room, and I congratulate you for it. Affordable housing is the top issue that we're not talking about. It's a real drag on the economy in this city, in this valley, and we are not going to be competitive unless we address it. And I'm open to an academic give and take about what the solutions are, but I want to get real solutions and I want to pursue them aggressively because we need to get after it in the same way we're talking about crime.
Todos los candidatos tienen 60 segundos para responder a esta pregunta. Empezando con Dan Gagliardi. ¿Cuál de las cosas más impresionantes que ha hecho como un político en su trabajo para enfrentar la pobreza de manera sistemáticamente?
All candidates have 60 seconds to answer this question. We'll start with Don Gagliardi. What's the most impressive thing you've done in your community work to address poverty in a systemic way?
Address poverty in a systemic way. Well, I will say this. I have advocated in my own neighborhood for 20 years for programs that address the fact that I live in a low-income community, to provide the services that low-income constituents in my community would not be able to access. So let me give you one example, and I only have 60 seconds here, but my local library provides incredible services, the internet, reading materials, other things that are not available to the low-income folks. When I want to buy a book, I just go and buy a book. But the library is essential to the low-income communities. It is our community service. I preserved my neighborhood library. It was going to be moved out of the community. I led the effort to ensure that it remained in the community for my low-income neighbors.
So again, working in the nonprofit community, I see this every day. I see people struggling to make ends meet. I see the impacts of public policy, both good and bad, every day in our neighborhoods. I think one of the ways to get out of poverty is education, and education is a great equalizer. As a Franklin McKinley School Board trustee, I actually put all-day kindergarten in the budget, because decades of studies show that if you invest in kids while they're young, it pays off later. I also added after-school programs in the Franklin McKinley School District, starting with our most needy schools, and then we just expanded it into all of our schools because it was so successful. And that idea is pay people to stay after school to provide one-on-one personalized tutoring to kids with teachers who know their kids and know what they need and not wait until they get so far behind. Why not just provide them the services every step of the way? And again, we've already seen the positive results.
I came from very poor little background, so tell me about poverty. I'm physically hungry. When I went to school, I was 18 years old. The government provided 1 meal on Sunday, and I stayed hungry until Monday morning. So education, of course, is a key in helping the engineer and the attorney. That's why it's better to help people. But overall, it's not what you earn is important, but what costs to take money away to turn people into poverty. Here, the cost of the living, the housing, and the low job, that's why people move to poverty. Not education is the long term, but I think increase the minimum wages, that would help right away. Secondly, more affordable housing. I think with we as a community, we can help training ESL, language, job training, and more importantly, easy to do, help poor folk with internet training that I can access to better opportunity.
I think when it comes to the most impressive thing that I've done, I have two answers. One is what I've done, and two is what I'm doing. And I think the most impressive thing that I've done has been graduate from college. Because I come from a family of a father who was an immigrant. My father who grew up dirt poor in Mexico, and then grew up in a trailer park here in Alviso. So I come from a family where we understand that there is a ticket out of poverty, and it's education. And what I chose to do with my career was become a teacher. And the other impressive thing that I'm doing is I'm the only active duty officer in our county that teaches at juvenile hall. When I started teaching, I went immediately to the east side. because I wanted to work with the youth where I could really make an impact, because I knew the power of education, because it pulled me out, being the first in my family to graduate from college. And I want to give that opportunity back to the rest of our youth.
We do have two candidates that carry the vote for this current session, both Mr. Perales and Mr. Gagliardi. Go ahead and begin with Mr. Perales. You have 60 seconds.
So this rebuttal is in regards to the most pressing policy issue, and as Don mentioned, he's definitely interested in addressing public safety as an issue, but he understands that our affordable housing is the issue that has a lack of interest. I found it surprising, though, that he wouldn't support the housing impact fee and at the same time state that affordable housing is one of the crises that we're not addressing, because not supporting the housing impact fee certainly is not addressing affordable housing. As well as one of the other issues in regards to affordable housing is how do we afford it with more income? And the number one group that's supporting my opponent, the Chamber of Commerce, was 100% against the minimum wage increase. And so I find it surprising once again that he can mention that that's an issue that we can't address, and yet that he wants to address it.
Well, let me first say I supported the minimum wage increase, even though the Chamber of Commerce, which has endorsed me, does not. But I put in my rebuttal card to speak to the issue of getting pension reform handled. And my opponent has said we need to get that so we can get back to the other issues bedeviling our city. And I agree with that. The difficulty is my opponent has never said how he would handle accommodating a pension reform that would keep this city solvent so that we have the money to provide other services. He's never explained in any form how he would do that. But the head of the POA and Dave Cortese, the mayoral candidate supported by Labor, said they would join the CalPERS system. And I think Mr. Perales should tell us whether he supports the idea that San Jose should get in the CalPERS system. Because there is no proposal here from my opponent as to how he would accomplish the task if we undo Measure B.
Thank you very much, candidates. So that concludes the Healthy and Thriving Neighborhood portion. A little bonus, since we are ahead of schedule this evening, I want to extend the candidates an opportunity to offer a conclusion, 60 seconds in length. I'll leave it up to you. Well, who would be
So, thank you all for coming again. And it's clear, we definitely are in some trying times. But I want to change that conversation and talk about optimism, talk about the confidence that I have in our ability to be able to create something amazing. And I know that, again, with your support, we can together begin to make the changes necessary to take us from a city of leadership that's been divisive and combative, an inability to produce, to one of collaboration, and one where we can actually have some progress. I have countless hours devoted in this city, working and volunteering in our community. I've worked the streets right here in your neighborhoods. And I know that if we can work together, to come together, to bring the changes necessary, then we can make San Jose, once again, one of the greatest and safest cities to live, work, play, and raise our family.
Thank you very much, Mr. Perez.
Well, I want to thank you as well for being here. You're engaged. You know who's engaged because they spend their evening coming out to listen to community members who are running for office. This is the 9th debate that Raul and I have been involved with, if you include the primary, and it's one of the larger crowds. So I congratulate you for being here. I have been engaged in this community for 20 years, as I alluded to at the outset. I've been involved in my own neighborhood, which is an underprivileged neighborhood. And I've been involved to support my neighbors, my elderly neighbor next door, the kids who go to the library that I alluded to, and in plenty of other ways that you can read about in my literature or on my website. I have been engaged and involved, and I want real solutions. not just what's conventional wisdom, but real solutions to real problems. And I will bring that into City Hall as your council person. Thank you very much.
So thank you for coming out tonight. I'm excited about this year. I think we've been stuck in gridlock, right? Not a lot is getting done. We have more trash in our streets. We don't have enough homeless programs. We have abandoned houses, vehicles. It's time to end that. And this year, we have an opportunity to make a change at the City Council. We have, right now, a mayor and 4 new council members coming into the city. And that's what is exciting to me. And I'm running to make a change in the city. Instead of gridlock, let's come together, let's deliver some solutions and put our neighborhoods first. Thank you.
I want to congratulate and thank you to engage and participate. My name is Tan, which means heart in Vietnamese, we know it as corazon. In fact, I feel like home because I come into the heart home, but I come with a bleeding heart because I run because I cannot stand it anymore. I've been seeing the politics, the struggle. I'm glad that Maya and I, we're good friends and we share the same values, so don't worry. Just work hard, get the votes out, and either one of us will change the city together. Let's do it together, folks.
Thank you very much to all the candidates here. And thank you all for attending Sacred Heart's District 357 City Council Forum. So we hope that you learned about your community tonight and that our forum can help you decide how to vote. So please share with others what you learned here tonight, and hopefully this forum has educated you. And make sure that you go vote November 4th. Thank you.